And I said, what about listening to Buzzed Pucks? And he said, man, I love those idiots talking about hockey. Welcome back to Buzzed Pucks.
One thing we got.
That's one thing we got. I'm Bert.
I'm Clay.
And we're back for week 2.
Week 2.
Still early in the season, but boy, are we going to have opinions about what these teams are doing so far.
Let's overreact.
Well, now that it's the second week, you could be like,
it's still a small,
maybe.
It's still a small sample size.
Yeah.
It's time to overreact.
There's still a bunch of teams that are doing the opposite of what everybody thought that they were going to do so far.
Philadelphia
and Minnesota at opposite ends of the spectrum. But before we're getting to that, Clay, as always, what are we drinking?
We are drinking Alvarium Brewery. We drink them a good amount.
Shout out to our friend Marissa who got these for us.
Who lives by...
And I know you're listening.
Yes. She lives by there. She picks up stuff for us. Yeah, she's very nice.
She's a nice gal. Most of the time.
We're drinking the Fresh Fruit, which is a fruited IPA.
New England style IPA.
Oh, yes. So it's hazy.
Nah.
Fruity. All right, cool. I thought this was going to be a Gose, and now I'm...
She said it was like well, I guess I just opened it. So
yeah. Citrus IPAs are good. So
yeah, that's pretty good. Just like last time when we had an IPA for different reasons. This has hints of sour in it.
Yeah.
That cut the piney taste that IPAs have a lot of the time that I hate.
Yes.
So it actually makes the IPA palatable for me.
I can't tell if I can taste the melon. It's got cantaloupe in it.
I feel like I can taste it a little bit, like at the back end of the.
It's got pineapple. It's got tangerines.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like Alvarium. I think I've liked every beer that we've had from Alvarium.
Yeah, because we've had the.
Because we had the
rice roll.
Yes.
We had the rice beer. We had Super Glued.
It was something like that. It was rice something.
Yeah.
Rice roll, something like that. Yeah.
We had I've had the Super Glued, which was
I don't know that we had that on the show.
It was an IPA.
Either way, go if you're in the area, go check out Alvarium Brewery. It's really good. They love bees. They have their. I don't know that they have their own beehives, but I remember I was talking. They work with local bee people. Use their honey in their beers. I know I actually talked to the lead brewer one time. Shout out to you. I'm sorry I forget your name, but
shout out to
I was waiting to pick up food from the food truck that they had, and he came out to order food too. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we really want to like look into getting our own beehives that we just like have out back." But he's like, "But we need like 100 pounds of honey to make one batch of beer, so like we need a lot of bees." So shout out Alvarium. Good beer.
It's very good beer.
I'll start us off this week, Clay, if you don't mind.
I do. It has apricot.
Apricot.
There's a weird fruit taste that I can't figure it out. Yeah, there it is.
Apricot I always thought it tasted kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start things off with the Metropolitan Division.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina still looking pretty strong.
Yeah, they are.
Through the first 2 weeks of the season. They beat the crap out of Seattle, did lose to Edmonton, and then beat Calgary in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty good week for them. Sebastian Aho, 2 goals, 5 assists this week. Svechnikov had 5 goals and an assist. What? Was I wrong about that Calgary one? Because that sounded wrong for a second.
I think they lost in overtime.
They lost in overtime.
They lost in overtime.
Okay, my bad. So they went 1-1-1 this week. My bad. Sometimes I just do that. I just like reverse the scores for no reason at all. But that doesn't take away that Aho and Svechnikov each had great weeks, like I just said. 4 for 14 on their power play, pretty good.
Yeah.
10 for 14 on the penalty kill, not as good.
No.
Yeah, not as good. So I wanted to mention that because it's like the reverse of themselves.
Yes.
Columbus had at least a little bit of a better week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, except for one game, had a completely better week than last week. Did not win a game last week. This week, they went 3-1.
Good for them.
Beat Vancouver in overtime, like everyone else is. They then beat Nashville. They blew a 2-goal lead, 2 separate 2-goal leads against the Pittsburgh Penguins and lost 6-3 in that game. But then really rounded out the week well and beat the crap out of the Rangers.
Rangers had a weird week.
5-1. Rangers did have a weird week. We'll get to them in a couple of minutes. Johnny Gaudreau, after being kind of a ghost the first week, had 3 goals and 2 assists.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's settling in.
Yeah. 13 for 14 on the penalty kill this week. Real good.
Yeah, that's good.
I think I had a couple of teams that were perfect on the penalty kill this week.
I did not.
Yeah, there's some sloppy special teams play still going on. But yeah, against Vancouver, Gavrikov had the overtime winner. Johnny G had 2 goals against Nashville. Columbus scored 4 goals in the third period against Nashville. So Nashville was, I believe, up 3-1 in that game. And then they just got barraged. And then the next game, Pittsburgh did that to them. They were up 3-1, and Pittsburgh scored 5 straight goals. Oof. So, yeah, they were very much in control of that, the first period of that Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the second, Pittsburgh just tilted the ice completely the other direction. And then dominated the Rangers.
Yeah, I didn't watch. Yeah, I only watched Caps Metro games, and they were all playing teams that I was.
I'll say this again because I think I said it in the last episode. NHL, get a red zone type show. Like there's a show on the NHL Network called NHL Tonight.
Yeah.
That I've tuned in a couple of times, and it's kind of like that, where they'll flip between, show you what's going on. Why is that not on every night? It's on like once a week, essentially.
Oh, I thought it would be on heavy game nights.
No. Because like tonight is a heavy game night, so I don't know. I'll see if it's on, but there was a heavy game night last week where I was like, certainly it must be on. And I turned it on, and they had some special. They were just talking about the Predators for some reason, and that's happened twice. That it had something to do with the Predators. I think it was like the Global Series or whatever. And it was just like, okay, maybe this is just like a little news story that they have on. But it was like 15 minutes, and it was just John Hines, his face the whole time. And I was like, what is happening?
Was it a good face at least?
No. He's very bald. I was saying, no offense.
Is that the GM?
No, you're thinking of Poyle. John Hines is their coach.
Gotcha.
John Hines is Nashville's coach. But I was just like, is this the second? Am I watching the same thing? Is this the same thing? And it's just like, just make that show. That's what NHL on the Fly used to be, and now they play NHL on the Fly after all the games are over, at like midnight.
That doesn't help me.
No. Get it together, NHL Network. Anyway, New Jersey had a much better week than they did last week. Just like Columbus, they went winless last week, but this week undefeated. Now, granted, they beat 3 really bad teams.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
I won't say really bad in the case of the Islanders, but they did beat Anaheim 4-2.
But they made the Islanders look bad.
They made the Islanders look really bad. New Jersey outshot Anaheim in this game 41-20.
Yeah.
Anaheim was up 2-0 after the first period, and then New Jersey just took over. In the Islanders game, the Devils outshot the Islanders 43-17.
Oof.
Nico Hischier had 3 points in that game. And then in the San Jose game, they won a close game 2-1.
Yeah, it was a very close game.
Hischier had 2 goals and 4 assists overall this week in those 3 games, and they were 8 for 8 on the penalty kill.
Good for them.
Now, I saw somebody tweet out Mackenzie Blackwood he played all 3 of these games, looked very good, thankfully, because he was horrible last year.
Blackwood needs to settle into his groove, and if he is,
I mean, and this is a good week to do it against 2 pretty bad teams, and then the Islanders who struggle offensively quite a bit.
Right.
This is a good week to get in a groove for a goalie. So I saw the person tweet. They were like, "Oh, well, he only faced 20-17, and like I think the San Jose only had like 23 shots in that game.
It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot." And I was like, "Yeah, but he still won." So,
right.
And he played better than Halak did against Columbus. So. We'll get to that in a sec. But let's continue on and talk about the Islanders. They beat San Jose 5-2 this week. They lost to New Jersey and got outshot 43-17, like I already mentioned. In that San Jose game, Wahlstrom had 2 goals. They lost to Tampa Bay 5-3, got outshot 35-26 in that game. And then lost to Florida, where Anders Lee seemingly was the only person who showed up. Now, it was only 3-2, but Anders Lee scored both of the goals.
Right, so, Anders Lee knew the job.
Yeah, and he had 4 goals overall this week, so he had a good week.
Yes.
And not really the rest of the team. I don't know if this has to be told to the Islanders. More than one person should score goals. It's probably smart, you know? And they looked better last week. They looked pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like they didn't win every game. I think they went 2-1 or something last week.
But it's still like a good showing.
Yeah. And they looked in every game last week, and this week they were just like kind of in it, kind of not in it, not in it at all against New Jersey. They were 2 for 14 on that power play this week. That might have helped.
Yeah.
We're 13 for 13 on the penalty kill.
Good for them. Good for them. Yeah, there's 2 only came against Florida.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Anders Lee's both goals in Florida were power play goals. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Beer sip break. Let's move on to the other team from the Big Apple, the Rangers, who did not have as good a week as they did last week. They did start out the week beaten up on Anaheim 6-4. Now, they did give up 4 goals against Anaheim.
Yeah.
They were 3 for 4 on the power play. They outshot Anaheim 43-22. It seems to be a what's it
trend?
Called? A pattern for Anaheim.
Anaheim's defense isn't good.
I see. Panarin and Zibanejad each had 4 points in that game. They then lost to San Jose in overtime. San Jose having a pretty good week, it seems like.
Yeah.
For them.
There it is.
Yeah. They won a game, so there's that.
They won 2.
And then the Rangers got pretty much stomped by Columbus. And I think you can put a bunch of that on Halak, who started this game, and he gave up 5 goals on 21 shots.
That's not what you want.
Yikes. Shesterkin has looked fine to begin the season. He hasn't really he's not at mid-season form yet.
You have to remember, this is regular season Halak. It's not playoff Halak.
That's true. Well, hopefully they won't play Halak in the postseason. They'll only play Shesterkin. So if they were smart, they would be like Halak all the entire playoffs. He won't let in a goal.
Right. But, I mean, Shesterkin's no slouch in the playoffs either.
That's true. Unless it's against the Penguins for the first 3 games. Artemi Panarin had 3 goals and 3 assists this week for the Rangers. He's having a good. I believe he is leading the entire league in points right now. I think he has 11 points, and I think he's number 1. And then there's a bunch of players who have 10 points right behind him, but he has the most right now. So good for him. Rangers, not a terrible week by any means, but losing to San Jose, yikes. Philly keeps doing it. Philly is defying everybody. It's at least for now, for the first 2 weeks.
It's like having a good coach helps.
Yeah, crazy.
What?
Yeah, as much as we like to joke about Tortorella, he is a good coach.
Yeah.
He rubs people the wrong way, but he had a lot of success in Columbus while he was there.
Yeah.
Last couple of years notwithstanding, but they were playoffs. They were in the playoffs, or at least in the hunt every year he was there.
Remember the sweep.
Yeah.
Remember the sweep.
Exactly. Speaking of that, Philly beat Tampa Bay.
Yes, they did.
To begin this week, 3-2. Carter Hart, 36 of 38 in that game.
Carter Hart played out of his mind.
Carter Hart playing pretty well so far this season. They did turn around and lose to Florida 4-3. 1 for 6 on the power play in that game. Potted another one. Who knows what happens?
Right.
They did beat up on Nashville. They were completely in control in this Nashville game. Philly won 3-1. But that score probably doesn't indicate how in control Philly was in that game.
Right.
Joel Farabee had a goal and 2 assists against Nashville. But then they ended a week on kind of a downer. They got shut out by San Jose.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not good to be shut out by probably, on paper at least, or so far, one of the worst teams in the league. The only thing worse, I guess, would be getting shut out by Vancouver.
Anaheim.
Or both of them.
Yeah.
Watch it. You can do it, Philly. I believe in you. Get the trifecta. Kevin Hayes had a goal and 4 assists this week.
Oh, good for him.
They were 7 for 10 on the penalty kill.
And be better.
So, that did not help their case in all of those games. Let's talk about Pittsburgh, the other team from the Keystone State. They started their week on pretty much a bummer. They played a terrible game against Montreal and lost in overtime. I watched that whole game. And
who? Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they looked really bad against Montreal for some reason. Malkin scored both goals in that game. It was 3-2 in overtime. However, what? Are you okay?
I'm doing math in my head. I realized I didn't count out all of the special teams for Los Angeles.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but come on, we're trying not to do all of the PK and penalty.
You're right, but you're going to understand when we get to it. You're going to understand why.
Okay. Well, speaking of LA, Pittsburgh turned around and took out their frustrations on LA, beating them 6-1.
Yeah, it was ugly.
That was an ugly game.
It was ugly.
It's a bummer for Jari because LA scored that goal with like 4 minutes left in the game. He was 39 for 40, so they ruined his shutout. But Jeff Petrie had 3 points in that game, and Pittsburgh dominated LA like from the beginning to the end of the game.
No,
it was not close.
It wasn't close.
It was not close.
Peterson is not looking good. Quick is looking all right, but
Quick looks fine for an older goalie, but their defense also doesn't look good. I mean, Pittsburgh was just walking all over them in that game. And speaking of walking all over, at least in the second half of the game, like I mentioned before, Pittsburgh scored 5 unanswered goals against Columbus to win that game in Columbus 6-3. It's so nice because Columbus, I think, still hates Pittsburgh for various reasons. Just because, like, Eastern Ohio hates Western Pennsylvania and vice versa for football mostly. But Columbus, since joining this division, has tried to insist that they have a rivalry with Pittsburgh.
I'll talk about that specific mentality a little bit later.
It's that little brother mentality. Yeah. And Pittsburgh has beat them in the playoffs a couple of times
right
now, so I understand it. But
it's a Amazon truck backing up.
Oh, that's what I thought it was a bird.
Nope.
It kind of sounds like it could be like a crow or something too.
It does, yeah.
I just heard that, and I saw my dog looking out the window. I was like, that has to be something. She's looking at it. The hell was I saying? Sidney Crosby had a goal and 3 assists this week.
Yeah, Crosby's doing good.
Yeah, he has 10 points, I believe, which ties him for second or third, whatever.
With a bunch of guys.
Yeah, with a bunch of guys. So he's looking great so far. He's looking about 10 years younger than he actually is.
It's really fucking annoying.
Oh, okay. Because Ovechkin looks like he's 50.
No,
and is still playing like he's 25.
It's one of those guys who, like, Ovechkin included, like, when are they going to age?
Never. I hope never for both of them.
Like, just.
My dream is that
if
both
they ride off
Sid
into the sunset
Ovi
together,
retire at the end of the same season.
Oh, that'd be cool.
With like both of them, they're both making the Hall of Fame, even if they're retired right now.
With Malkin and Backstrom.
Malkin and Backstrom, and probably Letang too.
Yeah.
If all of those guys could retire all together and ride off into the sunset when they have historic rivalries, they've played each other in the playoffs, 5 times? 4 or 5
Minimally.
times? Yeah. And who knows, what the future holds.
Right.
They could do it again. But like Crosby, I think, has 3 more years on his contract, and he said in an interview he'll reassess when that's up.
There, yeah.
But as long as he keeps up his training regimen, I don't think he's going to drop off. So I could see him continue to play.
Has 4 more years?
I think it's 4 more years. Yeah. And so that's my sincerest hope, is that at least Crosby and Ovechkin ride off into the sunset together, because they've always been connected.
Well, they came
into the league the same year too. They had the same rookie year. They've played every season against each other, essentially.
Well, also Malkin had the same rookie year.
Mm-hmm. He came in the year after. He was taken in the same draft as Ovi. Ovi went 1, Malkin went 2.
Right.
But then there was the lockout, and then Crosby got drafted, and then Ovi and Crosby came in the same year, and then the Penguins basically had to help sneak Malkin out of Russia to the NHL.
Because for Caps, it was, Ovi was drafted, lockout. Next year, he started the same season as Crosby, but Backstrom was also drafted the same year as Crosby. So those three guys all started at the same
I hope
time.
they all ride off into the sunset together. It'd be such a great story, you know? I mean, it already is. Because, whatever, I digress. Let's talk about Washington. They had a pretty good week. They had a pretty good week. They went 2-1.
Yep.
They beat Vancouver, thankfully, because they were kind of looking shaky coming into this second week.
Yeah.
Washington was. Ovi had 4 points in that game. Big. Because I don't think he didn't even score a goal last week.
No, he didn't.
He scored 2 in that game.
Well, those are his only 2 goals for the season. It's somewhere.
It's something. Washington was down 4-2 in this game. Came back and won 6-4.
Yep.
However, they blew a 2-0 lead against Ottawa and lost 5-2.
Yes, they did.
They got outshot 44-24 in that game.
Did.
But they finished off the week strong, beating LA 4-3. Orlov had 3 assists in that game.
Yeah, they came back from behind because I believe LA was in the lead the entire time until the end. You know,
it only matters when the clock hits 0. Whoever's in the lead, that's all.
It's good to see Washington have a good third period instead of a bad third period, like most of the other times they've lost.
John Carlson, their top scorer this week, 2 goals, 3 assists over those 3 games. 4 for 10 on the power play, so their power play is looking a little bit better. However, 3 for 6 on the penalty kill. Yeah. Not good.
No, that's bad.
But that'll do it for the Metro.
Coolio.
Who are you starting with?
I'm going to start with the Atlantic again.
All right, starting the East.
All right. I'm going to start off with Toronto.
Okay.
What?
Nothing.
Toronto had a good week.
Well, that's good. Thank God.
They went 2-1.
Okay.
They started the week off bad with a panic because they lost to Arizona. Lost to Arizona, then they beat Dallas in overtime. Then they dominated Winnipeg. So
I believe that's Dallas's only loss too. So
I think it is
so far.
Samsonov in the Winnipeg game.
He's looked pretty good for them.
He's looked very good for them. In the Winnipeg game, he blocked 31 shots for a .958 save percentage. So that he was their best player that game. Yeah. Nick Robertson, 2 goals in the Dallas game, including the
upstaging his brother, Jason Robertson,
including the overtime game winner. Yeah,
take that, big bro.
On the power play, 4 for 16.
I mean, that's not horrible, but getting 16 power plays,
right?
You might bump that up a little bit. Essentially that's 1 for 4.
Right.
Not horrible, certainly. But when you're getting that many, you should really punish the other teams.
Agreed. Toronto's 4-2 on the season. I forgot to mention that. But their penalty kill is 9 for 12.
Oh, barf.
Yeah. They let in 2 power play goals against Arizona, which is why they lost 4-2.
You know what's weird is Arizona's power play actually doesn't look that bad.
Arizona's power play looks good.
Because they scored 2 against Pittsburgh the first game of the season, too. And I was like, what is happening right now?
That's really weird.
They scored 28 last year, the entire season.
Yeah, they've already
And they already have 6.
Season's still young.
So good for them.
Yes. Yeah. Season's still young. It can go cold.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Matthews.
You got to impress all the college girls at your arena.
Really? Yeah, exactly. Matthews had 4 assists, so he's their top point getter.
Has he scored a goal yet? No, he has. Yeah, I think he scored against Washington. I think he has 1 goal.
Yes, he has 1 goal. People are freaking out.
Well, yeah, of course. It's the biggest hockey market.
But remember, he started slow last year too.
That's true. Yeah, so, that's true. And then he scored 60.
Exactly. Yeah. Matthews he's putting up assists. You won points.
It always makes me laugh. The biggest hockey markets, even when their teams are clearly very good, if they lose 1 game, are just blow the entire team.
Right.
Toronto is like that in hockey. The Yankees just lost in the ALCS, and people are like, blow this team up, fire everybody. I'm like, you got what?
They have more right to blow it up because their mentality is bad. And they're about to lose Judge.
Coming to the Pirates.
Coming to the Pirates.
That's what I heard. That's the rumor.
I heard. Because the Pirates are going to splash cash.
Could you imagine? I would poop myself if like their owner who never spends money is like, you know what? We're going to sign Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what? Who are you?
He throws down $40 million a year for 10 years.
Bob Nutting hit his head in a skiing accident, and now is like throwing around money like the Penguins and Steelers do.
Sonny Bono'd it.
Wow.
All right, I don't know how to continue for that.
Shout out to Cher. Shout out to Cher.
Tampa Bay.
I know you're listening, Cher.
Not anymore.
My mom's gonna laugh at that one.
Not anymore.
My mom will laugh at that.
She ain't listening anymore. All right, Tampa Bay with 2-1.
Oh boy. Yeah, Tampa Bay looked a little bit better this week.
They did
previously.
Doing the same thing as Arizona and starting the week out on the wrong foot with losing to Philadelphia, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Then they beat Florida 3-2, and then they beat the Islanders, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
The Islanders lost to Elliott goal. They didn't lose to Vasilevsky. They lost to Elliott.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Elliott went 914 save percentage. He looked actually very good.
I mean, 914 is not like world beating, but that's
but
he still won.
He beat the Islanders.
They should have just watched the game against Pittsburgh where he lit 6 goals in.
So everyone's trying to your Columbus and Pittsburgh thing. Everyone is trying to ship the Florida rivalry.
I mean,
it's been brutal at times.
It makes a little bit more sense now because Florida has a good team, but
to have it
is.
I should be talking. Yeah. Never mind. I should be talking about this during Florida.
Okay. Keep that in mind, everybody.
Point in the Florida game had 2 goals, including the overtime game winner. Stamkos has scored a bunch.
Dude, Stamkos has 7 or 8 goals already.
He scored 2 goals against Philadelphia in their loss.
He's looked fantastic. Everyone else on Tampa Bay, meh.
So Point and Kucherov this week stepped up as well.
Okay,
Kucherov is their actually their top points getter this week with 5 assists. So
right on.
I mean, Stamkos
he's always
has 4
been more
points.
of an assist than a goal guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But the 2-1 week for Tampa brings them to 3-3 overall.
That's fine. You're back to 500. I mean, again, it's the second week of the season, so
their power play.
Once we get to the 4th or 5th week, and the teams are still around 500, then you're like, I don't know.
Right.
You know?
Their power play was
looking at you, Nashville.
4 for 13. Nashville needs to beat someone that's not San Jose.
I know. I know.
We'll talk.
I know.
We'll talk then.
We'll talk about that.
4 for 13, so again, 25%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's even a little bit better than 25%.
No, it's not. 4 for 13, not 4 for 12. We're still going. Wait. No, I'm thinking of 4 for 16. You're right. It's better than 25%. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. Yep.
We were just talking about the 4 for 16.
Math.
It was in my brain. I'm not good at it.
Math. Just an anecdote at work today. But I had to help somebody with a calculation, and they kept being like, I don't, but like this and this. I was like, I don't understand why you're confused. Like,
math is math.
I don't. It's
math
like
math.
I told you what it is.
Right.
Anyway, I digress.
I just have to actually think about numbers, and I did.
It confused me why they were confused.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Math is math.
Math is math. You can't change math.
Can't change math.
All right, Ottawa did much better.
Ottawa, yeah.
So they are 3-2 of the season.
Yeah, they're looking
because
more...
they went 3-0 this week.
Yeah, they're looking more where people thought they were going to be.
They beat Boston in a super fun game, 7-5.
Nice.
Back and forth the entire time.
That 80s style game, 7-5.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to talk about the goalies in that one because they both didn't do great.
What goalies? 12 goals were scored. What goalies?
Right. In that game in Boston, in Ottawa, 3 guys had a goal and 2 assists. Chuck, Norris, and Batherson all had the same points.
Nice.
Then they beat up on Washington, like you mentioned.
Yes, they did.
Batherson had 2 goals in that game.
That's 5-2. 5-2, right?
5-2, yep. Yeah. Batherson had 2 goals. They were both 2 for 4 on the power play and 2 for 4 on the penalty kill that game.
Balance.
Perfectly.
Perfect balance.
And then they finished the week by beating up on Arizona.
Yeah.
Pinto had a goal and an assist that game.
Don't hit him from behind; he'll explode.
No. He got that big dump.
That's where he keeps his gas tank.
Yeah, it is. They were 3 for 10 on the power play, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then their penalty kill was 8 for 12.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I got a lot of bad penalty kills to talk about this.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
They did score a shorthanded goal against Boston, but there was a lot of shorthanded goals again this week.
Oh, I meant to tell you this. That website we use for like statistics, Quant Hockey.
Yeah.
Shout out Quant Hockey. They actually have adjusted power play and penalty kill that
really?
adds and subtracts shorthanded goals.
Ooh, I got
so
that.
if a team goes 8 for 10 on the penalty kill, but they scored a shorthanded goal, they say that they got 90% because they actually got a goal back.
Good for them.
I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
But both Batherson and Tkachuk had 3 goals and 4 assists this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a good week for those kids. Yeah. That's really good because those guys are only like
23,
low 20s.
24. Yeah.
Like I don't even know if Tkachuk is that old.
I think he's 24 at max.
I don't think so. I think he's like 22. Because I think he started in the league at 18.
Well,
and that was only a few years ago, you know.
It feels like he's been
I
around
think both
forever.
Tkachuk brothers started at 18.
Well, I think Matthew.
And they're in the same division. That's funny.
Matthew the older one?
Yeah.
I think he's 25. So.
Yeah, I think he's 25 or 26, yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to Montreal, who had a good week. Going 2-for-2
Yeah. Montreal doesn't look horrible.
They're now 3-3 overall.
Oh, I looked up how to say that guy's name.
I know it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know it, and I have a story about that.
Okay.
I actually guessed right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not. Once I heard it, I was like, that's how you say his name?
Yep.
Oh.
All right, so Bert talked about their overtime win against Pittsburgh, which Doc had that game-winning goal.
Yes, he did.
Then they stomped Arizona.
Yeah. Somebody has to.
Someone has to. Arizona was feeling a little big for the britches beating Toronto.
Battle of the bottom there. Well, I guess not really Montreal. Montreal's actually played pretty well so far.
They got a shorthanded goal, so that's one in their penalty kill column. And then they lost to Dallas. It was closer than the scoreline.
Dallas has been playing very well so far.
Well, Montreal was the first team to score more than 1 goal against Ottinger. This season.
Ottinger has been playing great. Yeah.
Even in that loss.
Hey. Get out of the kitchen.
Never mind.
Get out of the kitchen. Get out of there.
7 for 9 on the penalty kill. That's another one of those where.
Don't be naughty. Sorry, I'm talking to my dog, not Clay.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen right now. That's one of the ones you want to see that be a little bit better.
I'm sorry, say that again.
7 for 9.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better.
It's not horrible, but it could be, yeah. It should be better.
Yuri Slavkovsky.
You're high.
Slavkovsky.
Yeah.
I added an extra 8 with Slavkovsky, but Slavkovsky scored his first goal against Arizona.
Yes, he did.
And then Arbor Jacki scored his first goal.
That is not how it looks like it should be said.
So I looked up that his background. He's from Canada.
Yeah, but his family's Albanian.
Yes.
Yeah, I was actually. That's funny you said that. I was looking it up like right before.
And because I know how to pronounce some Albanian, I knew how to say his name.
Oh, because of like Premier League and stuff.
No.
Oh. Who do you know that's Albanian?
This is going to be a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a buddy from back home.
What are podcasts other than tangents?
Right? A buddy from back home. His name is Scorty Alaj.
Oh.
L-A-A-J, I think. There might be 2 L's.
Oh.
So
that's interesting. They like.
So known him for a long time. He is from Albania. Born there, came to America later. And quiet kid, quiet guy, super funny. Also doesn't look very athletic, but then he would juke us out in both soccer, like juke us out of our shoes in both soccer and football. And then then we also had like an inside joke that he was some Albanian hitman. Because he's just, again, quiet, unassuming, so we would joke that he was
Eastern European accent.
Exactly, stone cold killer. And then I would say within the last 5 years, so again, I'm either 25 or 27. We're playing, a bunch of friends back home were playing poker, and then he lets us know that, hey, one, I'm not actually from Albania.
What?
Yeah. He's actually
lying to you the whole time.
He's actually from Kosovo, but he's ethnically Albanian. So that's why he just said Albanian. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Didn't know that.
I'm sure that I know where Kosovo is.
It's in that same area.
Okay.
Think of like
it's the Balkans, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, like that all area.
Okay.
Basically,
that same general geographic area. Whoa.
His family escaped that war in the Balkans.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then he also let us know that Alaj isn't how you say his last name.
How do you say his last name?
It's a lie.
Oh, okay.
So he's been lying to us.
That's so funny. Well, it's one of those things he's just like, okay, well they kind of know my name. It's just they don't know how to say it properly.
Half of our friend group, we've known him since 6th grade.
All right, no, that's not.
He didn't correct us for a decade.
No, but what was his first name?
Scorty.
Scorty, you should have corrected them.
It was a decade.
It's not rude to correct people if they're saying your name wrong.
It's funny his last name's a lie because this entire history has been a lie.
I hope he listens.
So that's how I
knew.
Have
you told him about the podcast? You should.
I feel like
you should tell him about this episode.
So that's how I knew AJ says it's not. It's pronounced.
Arber Xhakai, right?
Yeah, that's how I know.
But his name begins with a J or an X, not a J.
So X in like that language,
isn't it?
Or
it's said like a J.
It's said like a J.
Okay.
And that
makes sense.
And I knew that because of Premier League. There is a Swiss Albanian soccer player who plays for Arsenal.
Okay. Well, I heard the first time I heard it said correctly was shout out to the hockey guy on YouTube. I was listening to his reviews of some of the games, and Xhakai scored this week too.
It's his first career goal against Dallas.
And he said his name, and I was like, that's how you say his name?
Yeah.
It does not. Yeah.
But Scorty is the reason
I don't
know
know.
the AJ.
I don't know Albanian, so.
The AJ, that's why I knew it was an I sound. Liar.
Scorty, it's okay to correct your friends. And everybody out there, if you don't know how to say someone's name, just ask.
Right.
Just be like, how do you say your name correctly?
So
I want to say it correctly.
Teachers...
It's not rude
to
ask how to pronounce it.
No, of course not. But teachers would call him and they go, Elijah, and he'd be like, yeah, sure.
But that was a lie.
Yeah.
I see you, Scorty.
It just confirms...
Is he going to be at your wedding?
No, he's not. It just confirms that he is actually a hitman, and it's just been covered.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just a stone cold
assassin.
Does
he have a barcode on the back of his head? Is he bald?
He's not bald. I think he covers up the barcode with that hair. Yeah.
We're on to you. We're on to you, Scorty.
All right. Nick Suzuki.
I'm going to make him in some sports game, and I'm going to put Scorty a lie on a team.
Perfect.
Because it sounds like not a real name either.
Scorty? No.
Scorty? No. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Great name, good dude.
Shout out, bud. Shout out to you. I've never met you, but shout out to you anyway.
Nick Suzuki, 2 goals and 3 assists this week. He's having a very good year so far.
Honestly, Montreal looks competitive.
Defense has been a little shaky.
Yeah, they're not perfect. Certainly
numbers,
not perfect, but I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they'll not be as bad as people thought they were going to be.
Right.
Their defense is 4 out of 6 rookies.
Yeah.
Which is including Xhakai.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
They're a team that even though they're probably not going to make the playoffs,
they're
super fun to watch.
But they're not going to be a bottom dweller.
No.
They're going to be annoying to play against.
They're going to be a spoiler. They're super fun to watch, win or lose.
Shout out Marty St. Louis.
On to Florida. 2 1-1 this week.
Yeah.
4 1-1 overall. So they lost to Boston in the beginning of the week, where Boston pretty much had control.
Boston's looks a lot better this year than people thought, at least at the beginning.
Including me. Colin White had a goal and assist. He's been putting up a lot of points since coming over. Then they beat Philadelphia, like you talked about.
Thank God. Beat Philadelphia, everybody.
Yep. They
shout out to my friend Derek.
Held on to their lead, and then they lost to Tampa in overtime. Tkachuk that game had 1 goal, 1 assist, and then 1
against Tampa Bay.
Yes, against Tampa Bay. 1 BHPCG.
You're gonna go ahead and have to explain what that is.
Bonehead play that cost the game. Yeah.
Plays what was it?
BHPCG
of the week.
Yeah. Tkachuk.
I miss old MXC. Kenny Blankenship's painful eliminations of the week.
Yeah, so he had 1 bonehead play to cost the game.
Was it an overtime?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't watch the end of that game.
It might have been right before overtime, but
I saw him sitting in the penalty box and
Well, he words are failing me, but it was Kucherov, and then he, I believe, either cross-checked him in the face, put his face into the boards, and then cross-checked him again while he was down.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Solid.
And it's funny because Tkachuk and Kucherov are kind of the same player. Kucherov is a bit more skilled, but they're really good at getting under the other team's skin.
One I would say is a playmaker. The other one's a power forward.
They both lash out when they're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's one of those things where, like I said earlier, that Florida's trying to force this rivalry, the media's trying to force this rivalry between Florida and Tampa Bay. And
they're in the same state.
It's the same state, same division. They've met in the playoffs twice, but it's hard to have a rivalry when there's no back and forth, because Tampa just beats Florida all the time.
Tampa swept Florida last year out of the playoffs.
It
wasn't even close.
No, it's the same thing with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Most teams viewing Columbus. You haven't done anything to actually be worth my effort.
Yeah.
That's how Ohio feels a lot of the time, or other teams feel about Ohio in multiple sports.
Shout out to my family in Ohio.
Yeah.
Who I'm pretty sure listens to this every week.
Sports-wise, they're kind of irrelevant.
Hey, come on. Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl last year.
And what'd they do?
They lost, but they still went to the Super Bowl. The Browns can go fuck themselves.
Exactly. So I'm mainly thinking about Cleveland for most things.
Hey, come on! The team that is now known as the Guardians went to the World Series not that long ago. And lost, but
the Guardians are actually a pretty good team.
They made the playoffs this year, didn't they?
Yeah, they won the division.
Yeah, they lost to the Yankees, but they still made the playoffs. Yeah.
The Guardians play in a division that I don't care about, so that's my thing.
That nobody cares about. Yeah.
But
baseball.
Tampa doesn't view Florida as a threat really until they
do something. Until they beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah. That's when the rivalry happens.
That's when the hate starts to flow through them.
But I will say, Tkachuk might help get that started.
Love that. I know I said this last week that you refuse to say their names correctly.
No, I've said his name 3 different ways this session.
You don't say the T.
I know.
I've said that you just refuse.
I've said it with the K once already. I'm gonna keep saying his name in different ways.
Just to annoy me.
Yep. And then they, like Bert said, held on against the Islanders.
Yeah.
For that victory.
Yeah.
They were 0 for 16 on the power play.
Wow.
Yep.
Good Lord.
And then their penalty kill, not much better, going 17 for 22.
Oh my God, they took 22 penalties this week?
They took 22 penalties in 4 games.
Holy hell. That's over 5 a game.
They
got
1 shorthanded goal to get
That doesn't make it better.
No, it
doesn't. That doesn't make it better.
No.
You took 22 penalties in 4 games. Jeez, oh man.
7 against Tampa Bay.
Ugh.
And then 6 against Philadelphia. And the Islanders. Hey, Ruth. So, yeah. Tkachuk, 1 goal, 4 assists this week. So
well, at least he scored. And that boneheaded play of the week.
Bonehead play of the week. All right, moving on to Detroit. 1-0-2 this week.
All right.
They actually have not lost in regulation.
Oh, they haven't. That's right. Aren't they 2-0-2?
3-0-2.
3-0-2.
Because of the game yesterday against Anaheim where they stomped them. They lost in overtime to the Kings. Choked that away. Lost in overtime against the Blackhawks. I believe they choked that away as well. And then they absolutely curb stomped Anaheim. I'm a little upset that I didn't realize that there were a couple other games being played
at the same time,
so I could have switched to them. It was just ugly.
That game wasn't close.
No, at no point. Detroit 5 for 14 on the power play. It's very
really good.
Yeah. And then perfect on the penalty kill, 11 for 11. So
Detroit's looked pretty good.
They're looking very good.
Yeah.
In the loss against the Kings, Perron had 2 goals and assists, and then overall, Dominic Kubalik is their top points getter with 2 goals and 5 assists in those 3 games.
Nice.
Putting up multi-point games against Chicago
against his former team.
Yeah, Chicago and Anaheim. Now, moving on to the team that I really want to talk about because they're looking
Buffalo
really good.
Buffalo.
And it's Buffalo. 3-0 this week.
Hell yeah, Buffalo's looking great.
Beat 4-1 this season. They took a road trip to Western Canada and told them to go fuck themselves. Because only one of those games was close, and that was against Edmonton, where Comrie shut Edmonton out.
Yeah, what a pickup Comrie's been.
46 for 48 saves. Wow. Yeah. That last 5 minutes, I think McDavid was on the ice for like 3 of them. Of course he was. Trying to feed him. But Comrie shut him down.
Big pickup there, Comrie.
Beat Edmonton 4-2, beat Calgary 6-3, and then beat Vancouver in their home opener.
Dominated
5-1. Oh, it was
dominated Vancouver.
So ugly that game. That was an ugly that was fun to watch. But we'll talk more about that one later. So 3 for 10 on the power play, 7 for 8 on the penalty kill with a shorthanded goal. Tuck got his first career hat trick against Calgary.
Nice.
Rasmus Dahlin, his broken a record for goals in consecutive games for a defenseman.
Yeah.
5 goals.
Good for him.
He's looking 5
fantastic.
games.
And so is their other younger defenseman.
Owen Power. They're looking
looking great.
They're looking really good. It's really just
finally coming together for Buffalo.
It really shows how good coaching for Philadelphia can really make a team better.
Yeah.
Bad coaching can really just cripple a team.
Oh yeah.
Like Paul Kruger crippled Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
We had 3 players have 5 points in this game. Tuck had 5 goals. Dahlin had 3 goals, 5. Tuck had 3 goals. Tuck had 5 goals. Dahlin had 3 goals and 2 assists. And then Casey Middlestat had 1 goal and 4 assists over this week. They're looking
steaming hot.
Good.
Yeah. Hopefully they keep it up for the rest of the season.
Well, that's the thing about Buffalo right now. The way they're playing doesn't look unsustainable.
No,
it's not being
They're
carried.
Just controlling games.
It's not being carried by a power play that's working.
Or a hot goalie or something like that.
Or a hot goalie.
It's overall, they're just looking good.
Even Craig Anderson's looking good because in Vancouver, he went 29 for 30. They are letting in a lot of shots because Comrie, like I said, 46 for 48 against Edmonton. and he went 40 for 43 against Calgary. So
it is a lot of shots.
There are some questions to see how the goalies will last throughout the season.
Yeah, they might break down eventually.
But your offense...
Didn't they play like 7 goalies last year or something?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They might have played 9.
Yeah, it was a lot. They played a lot of goalies last year because of injuries.
Yeah. Everyone was getting injured. But we'll see how everything else looks pretty good and pretty sustainable.
Yeah. Good.
Moving on to Boston, who is a team that is at the top of the Atlantic.
Surprisingly so, with all of the injuries that they have.
The injuries, especially at the blue line.
Oh, yeah. Like half of their starting blue line is injured.
Because you have McAvoy, you have...
Hampus Lindholm, too.
Is Lindholm? He wasn't on the list, but there was...
Oh, maybe he came back earlier. But they're missing
at least... Grzelcyk?
Yeah.
Grzelcyk. Yeah. And Carlo's hurt, too.
Yeah, he just got hurt.
He just got hurt.
And no Brad Marchand either.
Right. But you got Krejci, who's been playing very well. Bergeron's been playing great.
Yes,
and then Pasternak has been playing fantastic.
Yeah,
because he had 3 goals and 3 assists this week.
I was worried about Boston with just all of those injuries to key players. Like, really worried how they were going to do to start the season. But, hey.
They're fine.
They're doing great.
They're fine. Because they went 3-1 this week, 5-1 overall.
And so when those guys come back, it'll break up the momentum and mess it up, just like the Penguins every year.
You hope. Like I said, they lost.
Just like Malkin last year.
Like I said, they beat Florida, lost at Ottawa. They beat Anaheim in a shootout, and then they beat Minnesota in overtime. Power play is looking a little stagnant with 2 for 16, but their penalty kill looks good. Taylor Hall got the game-winning goal against Minnesota. Bergeron had a goal and 2 assists against Ottawa. And then Jake DeBrusk.
Playing pretty well.
He's playing very well.
Yeah.
2 goals and an assist against Florida. But like I mentioned, Pasternak is their top player with 3 goals and 3 assists for the week. Right. They're looking very good.
They're solid. They're solid as a rock. Their depth is doing well.
Really frustrating.
Well, oh, yeah. It's super frustrating.
You can never bet against Boston or Pittsburgh.
There's a few other teams too.
You can bet.
Yeah.
I think this is the first year you can kind of bet against Washington.
Yeah, but usually not against Washington either.
It's like those 3 teams are a bunch of old guys that you're just waiting for that team to fall off.
And you're like, this is the year.
And they just keep chugging.
Like, oh, they're 5-1. Oh.
All right, now I'm going to go real quick, injuries and news. For Boston, Anton Stralman has been listed day to day because he's having visa issues.
Coming over from Europe.
Yeah. For Buffalo, Mateus Samuelsson on the IR with a lower body. It's not as bad as what they thought. His knee went into the board.
Bad.
He got twisted. His skate got caught. He got twisted. It's not as bad as it looked.
Well, that's good at least.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then Henry Yokiharu is also on the IR. I figured. He took a puck to the face. Ooh. So he'll be back.
Yeah.
Up next is Detroit. We're going to start with Jacob Vrana. Is the new injury because Tyler Bertuzzi was hurt last week. Jacob Vrana checked himself into the Player Association.
It's an injury. It's like a mental injury, essentially.
Personal. It could either be mental health or it could be issues with drugs. He did have that. That shoulder injury. So
Yeah.
He was on painkillers, so there's a couple of different things that it could be.
Yeah.
So we're just hoping for.
Hopefully he gets through that fine and he comes out better for it.
Exactly. So it's really good to see players use those
those assets
that they have. We saw Carey Price use them last year and earlier this year. Moving on to Florida, Aaron Ekblad. He's hurt again. IR with a groin injury. He probably a couple of weeks. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Florida's defense adapts to him not being in the lineup because it's not as deep as it was last year.
No.
Losing Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah. Oh, right. I forgot Weegar's not there anymore. He's in Calgary now.
There's not a lot of big name defensemen because they do have Brandon Montour has been day to day. He's been injured, so he hasn't been able to play. So your one of your best defenders is Radko Gudas. Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
So we'll see how Florida does the next coming weeks.
Monitor that situation, yeah.
Defensively, next up is Ottawa. Josh Norris, unfortunately, is going to be out for the next couple weeks.
Bummer.
With a shoulder. He was listed day to day. It looked like he separated his shoulder again. So he's going to be listed on the IR. I missed Montreal. Slavkovsky is day to day with an upper body. He actually missed the Dallas game. So he is day to day with that upper body, and then rounding out Toronto, Jake Muzzin is on the IR with a neck injury.
No good. Neck injuries
not good
are never good.
Not good for their defense as well.
Never good, never good. All right, well, let's roll on into the Central Division.
That took forever, and I'm sorry.
Well, we went on some tangents and stuff. Let's roll on into the Central Division. Let's start with the Arizona Coyotes, who we've talked about all of their games so far. They lost to Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa.
No, they beat Toronto.
I'm sorry. They beat Toronto, lost to Montreal and Ottawa.
Yeah.
In that game against Toronto, Nick Ritchie, Christian Fischer, and Shane Gostisbehere each had a goal and an assist.
Good for them.
Overall this week, Krause, Boyd, and Keller all had 1 goal and 2 assists.
Good. And they're starting off on the road. This has all been road trips for them.
Stuff's getting ready at their college rink that they're playing at and stuff. But, the first 2 weeks, I think their home opener's coming up.
It is.
I think it's this week, maybe?
Then they're going back out on the road. They're doing a very quick home stint and then going back on the road long term.
So, Arizona, pretty much right where we thought.
Yeah.
They are annoying to play against, though, clearly.
Yes.
They're not like a pushover team like they were last year.
Yeah, they're playing a lot better than last year. They're not rolling over and dying.
Which is good. That's at the very least what you want to see.
Yep.
They might lose games, but as long as they're, like, there,
yep,
you can at least say that much. Speaking of another team that's probably annoying to play against, the Chicago Blackhawks.
Man, Statlock and Dickinson are ruining their tank.
Staylock.
Still. Good old Matlock.
Good old Matlock. They beat Detroit in overtime 4-3, as Clay mentioned before, and then I believe they actually beat Seattle.
They beat Seattle.
Yeah, man, this is another one where I wrote the score incorrectly.
I watched this game, and I don't know what happened at the very end.
They beat Seattle 5-4. They were 2 for 3 on the power play in that game. Tyler Johnson, 2 goals. Against Detroit, Chicago came back from a 2-goal deficit.
2 for 3 on the power play, and they scored on the penalty kill.
Oh, they got a shorthanded goal too. Tyler Johnson and Max Domi, Ty Domi's son, each had 2 goals this week. Chicago, just like Arizona, not great, but more annoying to play against certainly than they were last year.
Yeah. I saw a Reddit.
There's only 2 games for Chicago this week.
I saw a Reddit thread, and it's just like, so what player is kind of underperforming early in the season? Yeah. And the Chicago fan was just like, Staylock, because we're trying to tank. So he's not going with the tank. He's playing great.
You guys are trying to lose this year to try to get Connor Bedard or whoever you want to take at high in the draft, but you're not doing it so far. So.
Not doing it so far.
Right now, Vancouver's beating everybody to Connor Bedard. But let's move on to the defending Stanley Cup champion, the Colorado Avalanche, who have had a really roller coaster of very inconsistent first couple of weeks. However, they did beat Minnesota 6-3. They lost to Winnipeg in overtime 4-3. Lost to Seattle 3-2 in regulation.
Yeah, they did.
But then they beat Vegas 3-2 in regulation. So, up and down week for Colorado. Against Minnesota, Nichushkin and McKinnon each had 3 points. What were you going to say?
A little bit of a cup hangover.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. It happens,
It does.
I'm sure they'll smooth out as the season goes on.
You can argue that Washington's still on a cup hangover.
Against Winnipeg, Mikko Rantanen had 2 goals and an assist. Against Seattle, they were outshot 38-20.
Yeah, Seattle shut Colorado down.
Yes, they did. And against Vegas, Colorado was 2 for 2 on the power play. Nichushkin had 3 goals and 5 assists this week. He is killing it so far this year.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yes. I believe he has 5 goals and 5 assists to begin the season.
That's crazy.
He actually might be tied with Panarin. I don't remember. But overall, they were 4 for 7 on the power play this week. 10 for 15 on the penalty kill, and they gave up 2 shorthanded goals.
Oof.
So, tale of 2 sides of the special teams there for Colorado. A team that's probably outperforming a lot of people's predictions so far, Dallas.
Yep.
Overall, they are 4-0-1 so far to begin the season. They started out the week beating Winnipeg 4-1, lost to Toronto in overtime, like Clay mentioned. However, they were 7 for 8 on the penalty kill in that game.
Yes, they were.
So, 8 penalties is not what you should be taking at a game. However, they finished the week beating up on Montreal 5-2. Joe Pavelski had a hat trick and an assist, becoming the oldest Dallas Star to ever have a hat trick, beating out Brendan Morrow, who had it
Pavelski's
before.
He
does not look like he's 37.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. So he's looked great. Ottinger, however, has looked better because he's 2-0 with a 1.5 goals against this week, 9.49 save percentage.
Yeah, he's outstanding.
He is living up to expectations from the playoffs last year. Dallas was 16 of 17 on the penalty kill and 4 for 11 on the power play. Pretty good special teams week for Dallas. Yeah. So Dallas looking really good. Minnesota, however, less so.
Yeah, oh my God.
They got beat up on by Colorado, but they finally won a game against Vancouver in overtime, 4-3, their first win of the season.
Yep.
But then turned around and lost to Boston in overtime too.
At least they got a loser point against
That's
Boston.
True. I believe that takes them to 1-4-1 to begin the year, which is not good for Minnesota. Matt Zuccarello had 2 goals and 4 assists this week. Kaprizov did score 2 goals against Colorado and a goal and 2 assists against Vancouver, including the overtime winner against Vancouver.
Yep.
But boy, goalies have been the issue with Minnesota right now, and Marc-Andre Fleury has not been playing well the first 2 weeks. Not at all.
Not even a little bit.
Love you, Fleury, but not so good so far. This year, anyway.
No.
Let's move on to Nashville, who has still not beat a team other than San Jose in Prague. They started out the year 2-0 in Prague.
Yeah.
And are 2-4-1, I think, now. So
this is a team that had expectations of playoffs.
Yeah, they brought back they brought back Forsberg. They brought in what's his face from the Islanders? Or no, I'm sorry, from Carolina,
Niederreiter.
And they were like, okay, we can make the playoffs, definitely. Don't know, because they're very up and down right now. They lost to LA in a shootout. They were 7 for 8 on the penalty kill in that game. Again, 8 penalties is too many.
Yeah.
They lost to Columbus 5-3. I keep reversing the scores. They lost to Columbus 5-3. Sissons, Trenin, and Jeannot each had 2 points in that game, so a little bit of silver lining for that game. But then they also got dominated by Philadelphia, 3-1. And like I said with Philly, that scored line doesn't really reflect how that game went. Boy, they've been really playing like a turd since coming back from Prague, like I've already said. But like, man, they got to get something. They got to put it together here. You know, like Nashville, you can't just beat San Jose. You only play them like 4 times a year.
Right, and like LA isn't a team that's kind of struggling right now. So like, yes, you lost in a shootout, but
you still lost. You got the loser point, but still lost. 1 for 13 on the power play in those 3 games this week. 1 for 13. No good. St. Louis, however, real good.
Such a good team.
The only team so far that is still undefeated. Now, they've only played 3 games.
Really?
Yeah, but they're 3-0. Their schedule is really weird to begin the year. It's kind of light for the first like 3 or 4 weeks, and then it intensifies.
Crazy.
Obviously, they have to play 82 games eventually. Yep. But they beat Seattle in overtime this week. Justin Falk, 2 goals, including the game winner. in overtime. Tarasenko, 3 assists in that game. And they shut out Edmonton.
Yeah.
In their second game of the week. Justin Falk had another goal in that game, while Torrey Krug had the other goal. Good. Justin Falk, 3 goals this week. Obviously is their top player. Real good week for him.
We got nothing really to say.
Nothing really to say. They only played 2 games. They look pretty good. I mean, overtime against Seattle. Seattle is another one of those teams that's like definitely annoying to play against.
Yes, Seattle
won't make the playoffs, I don't think. But looking at how the Pacific Division's rolling out right now, they have at least a little bit of a chance to make the playoffs.
Oh, it's a fight for third right now.
Yeah, there's 2 teams that are really good, and then everyone else.
Yep.
I think Edmonton will probably take that third place eventually, but we'll get to them in a sec.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's finish off with Winnipeg, who I believe they only played 1 game last week too, that they won.
They beat the Rangers last week.
They beat the Rangers last week, that's right. They didn't have a tremendously good week. They lost to Dallas 4-1. Did beat Colorado in overtime, like I mentioned before. Neil Pionk had 2 goals, including the game winner in overtime.
Pionk.
I love his name, Pionk.
That's great.
They then turned around and kind of got handled by Vegas 5-2.
Yep.
And handled by Toronto 4-1. They end out the week. Neil Pionk is their player of the week. 3 goals and an assist. And Cole Perfetti also had a goal and 3 assists this week.
Cole Perfetti's a fun name.
Yeah, he's only like 20 or something too. So it's good to see a younger guy. Yeah. He only played like half the season last year, I think.
Gotcha.
They were 7 for 11 on the penalty kill. 7 for 11. That's bad. Let me run through my injuries really quick.
Yep.
And then I have some new stuff to write down too, or to talk about too. But we could talk about when you're done.
Yeah.
Nick Schmaltz for Arizona is out 6 to 8 weeks with an upper body injury.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Connor Brown from Washington to the IR with a lower body injury.
Yeah.
Now, IR in hockey, just to give you guys a reminder, it's not like football or baseball where they have to be out like a long extended period of time. I think it's just a week in hockey that they have to be out. It's not that long, but...
Like Ehlers from Winnipeg, his IR was retroactive too because he'd already missed 2 games.
They can do that too. They could be like, he was on IR going back to like the 15th.
Right.
So now he's back. So, they can do that. Dryden Hunt was put on waivers by the Rangers and taken off of waivers by Colorado. So that's not injury, but, little transaction there. Jake Gensel, day-to-day, after taking a puck to the head against, what game was that? That was against L.A. It was a shot by Letang.
Yep.
That unfortunately just rose. It hit him in the helmet. It's not a concussion, but I'm sure he has a nice goose egg on the side of his head.
Yeah.
So he's practicing, so he's not severely injured, but he made the trip. I believe the Penguins are on a Western Canada trip right now.
Gotcha.
He made the trip with them, but who knows if he's going to play. This isn't overarching. Ted Leonis is trying to buy the Nationals, who is the owner of Washington. So he's trying to build a monopoly of Washington-based sports teams because he also owns, or at least partially owns, the Wizards and the WNBA team that's there too.
Yes, he owns the Wizards and the WNBA team.
And when I saw that, I saw somebody be like, "Can he buy the Commanders too?"
I'm
sure he'd love to.
Commanders, like Dan Snyder, might get forced out of the ownership.
So.
He deserves to.
Probably almost all of the NFL owners, and maybe owners just in general, they're business guys. They're probably dirtbags.
They're probably
Dan
all bad
Snyder
people.
is specifically like a really bad man.
He trafficked cheerleaders.
Yeah, he pimped out his cheerleaders. Yeah, it's gross. Gabriel Landeskog out 3 months.
Yep.
He already has not played yet this year, but I guess he had knee surgery now.
Yes.
So he is out for. My dog found a bone that she only chews on sometimes. So if you hear clicking in the background, it's my dog. So he's out for at least 3 months.
Yeah,
going forward.
I think he was trying to heal that knee without.
Yeah, but it just wasn't working.
Or he had a setback because he might have had knee surgery in the offseason.
I just recently was when I saw them say knee surgery.
No, he just had another knee surgery. This could have been
maybe it just didn't take completely or something. So he's out for the next 3 months at least.
Yeah, he hurt himself during that Cup final run.
So. So Teddy Bluger, surprisingly for Pittsburgh, is now on long-term injured reserves. He was day-to-day, and as far as I know, has been practicing. They have not said what the injury is, but they just put him on IR, LTIR. I think so that they can bring up a couple of guys. With Gensel being injured too,
most likely they
put him on LTIR, and then they immediately called up 2 guys from the minors because they're so close to the cap that they're actually fielding, I believe, 22 of 23.
Like moving Murray to the IR for
Toronto.
For Toronto, they brought up 3 guys. They brought up Wade Simmons.
Nick Robertson too.
Yeah,
and then Victor Mete. That's what it was. Yeah.
Wayne Simmons had a great assist against Winnipeg, I believe.
I really like Wayne Simmons since he left Philadelphia.
Yeah, because he's the same dude.
He's always been a good guy.
He's not on Philadelphia.
So he's not in Philadelphia anymore.
Between the legs drop pass for a goal.
That's awesome.
You brought in him up for some toughness, so he has this finesse pass, and then Morgan Riley starts a line brawl.
There you go.
That's hockey, baby.
That's hockey, baby. Did you ever see the Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they were trying to do
You jabroni?
No, it was they were going on a flight, and it was the some old timey baseball player challenge, and it was the guy had reportedly drank 25 beers on a flight from Philly to LA or something like that. And so they were like, we got to do that challenge. I can't remember who it was though. And
no,
they did it. And 3 of the 5 of them got kicked off the plane or got arrested when they landed. But then 2 of them did it, and they made it to the baseball field.
Right.
And at the end of the episode, it's the 2 of them talking incoherently to each other. Oh, God, I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But the last line of the show is, "That's baseball, baby." It was by Charlie Day. He was like, "That's baseball, baby."
Of course Charlie makes it.
So funny. Mark Borecki, Borocop, if you're nasty. He went
I'm nasty.
awkwardly into the boards this week.
Oh, yeah.
Not a dirty hit, nothing like that. It just kind of an unfortunate fall into the boards. It went pretty much hit his head and neck into the boards, was taken off on a stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, somehow, is not seriously injured.
Right.
Yeah. Or is not really injured almost at all.
No,
which is a miracle.
I think he's already back in practice.
Yeah, which is absolutely a miracle. So thank God for that. And that's it for my injuries. And then we'll see how we're feeling. Well, let me just say this this is really quick. Gary Bettman has come out and said that if the escrow payments for this year are reached, the cap could jump $4 million into next season.
That'd be great.
That would be fantastic. Sorry. So yeah, that would be great, and it's actually feasible for that to happen. Sorry, Clay was just writing me a note.
Yeah.
And because they exceeded their revenue expectations last year, and then they were like, oh, well, I guess if we meet it, and the escrow is paid off because of COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I don't see why the cap can't jump $4 million next year. And if I'm the players and that benefits everybody.
Yep.
That benefits everybody.
It just means those teams that are so close to the cap can actually bring in more guys.
That's almost every team. And every competitive team is just a hair away from the cap limit.
There's also just so many guys out there right now who are bubble guys who did not get a contract because
or it took them forever to get a contract, like Evan Rodriguez, who played for the Penguins last year, had 15 goals.
He's playing for
Colorado. Now he signed with Colorado, but normally a guy that's a good depth guy like that, he would solidly get $2-3 million in a normal year. He waited half the summer and finally took $1 million from Colorado to go, or maybe it was $2 million from Colorado to go play for them.
I think one of the Stahl brothers just got a contract.
Oh, it was Eric Stahl in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
because they were so close to the cap that they couldn't sign him.
Right.
And then they got an injury, and then they were like, okay, fine, we'll sign Eric Stahl.
Yeah.
So that's good for everybody. That's good for Capstrap teams. That's good for the players. It's good for everybody.
That might have been one of the reasons that PK retired. Like, he couldn't get...
Nobody was going to give PK what he wanted.
Oh, that's true. But, like...
Just because the last couple of years his play just tanked, that was because of injuries.
Injuries broke him, but...
Yeah, but nobody was going to give PK, like, $5 million or anything like that. No way.
No. I'm not saying he could have commanded like.
No, I'm just saying, especially not with a flat cap,
right?
Or with just $1 million in cap space increase. But that's great.
Yeah,
I love to see my one of my favorite leagues doing well financially. So
I want to watch one of my favorite sports. So
this
helps.
I don't love the ads on the jerseys and the helmets and stuff, but if it means my favorite league will keep going, I'll bear it.
Helmets I'm fine with. I think jerseys to me was the step too far.
It would make me feel better if they weren't like sports betting things, but what are you gonna do?
Oh, 100%. No. I don't want the gambling there at all.
But it is what it is. Just try to ignore it as best you can, essentially.
But again, I think. But look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't have sports betting on the side of their head.
No, that's true.
I think.
Oh, and on their jersey either.
No.
Yeah.
Capitals have it
the
on
Capitals
their jersey.
Do, yeah.
But
and Toronto's is milk.
I think that's better.
But I think more are coming for because it's only 7 teams right now that have the patch, and so I think more are coming along.
Probably, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm fine. The helmet ads don't bother me.
Yeah.
The jersey ones are.
I'll be totally honest. In watching a bunch of Penguin games so far, I haven't really noticed them. And maybe that's because they just blend into the jersey. If they do it where it blends into the jersey and it's not super noticeable, because the Caps one isn't really either.
No, it's not Montreal's.
I think it's fine. Montreal's stands out.
Yeah.
But the Toronto one that says milk, but it's the same colors as the Toronto jersey, you can't even really see it. It's just a squiggle on their jersey that you can't really see from far away. But I digress. Let's finish things off. You start talking.
Yep.
I have to run and get something, but I'll still be listening.
Sounds great. So I'm going to start off by talking about Vegas because we're going to finish with the Pacific. Vegas, not a good week this week. They went 1-2, but they are 4-2 overall. They are at the top of the Pacific Division. Nope. Wait. Maybe. They're up there. They're tied with Calgary with one more game played. Whatever.
They're tied at the top. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Starting off their week, they did lose to Calgary, but their goalie Thompson is their star player because he saved 37 of 40 shots.
He's been really good so far.
He's the only reason they were in that game. Then they beat Winnipeg, like Bert said, and then lost to Colorado, like Bert said. That was the first game that the Colorado loss was the first bad game that Thompson had. It wasn't even that bad. Their power play, not great, but their penalty kill, 5 for 8.
Who?
Thank you, Bert.
All right, I'm back at the mic. Who? That's bad.
That's bad. Aiden Hill played well in his appearance, saving 26 for 28. That's a 929. But Jack Eichel is actually their highest top player with 2 goals and 2 assists.
Good. He's looked pretty good so far this year.
He's looked very good.
Yeah. So that's good. I always felt bad for Eichel. I mean, he got villainized in Buffalo. I don't think clearly not everything in Buffalo was his fault.
I'm going to blame Kruger for most things.
Yeah. Before all the injury stuff, he played great in Buffalo.
He played well, but he might have just.
And he didn't play super well last year for Vegas, but he was injured.
Right.
He was coming back from that neck surgery, and then he got injured again, and it was.
This is something I didn't mention I forgot to mention with Buffalo. It is so nice to see Rasmus Dahlin play
play up to his expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he was drafted number 1 overall.
Number 1 overall. It's been 4 years, and yeah, it takes defensemen a little bit longer to develop, but he's really playing to his strengths. And again, that is all because Paul Kruger is not his coach anymore.
Who is their coach now?
It's Granato.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Don Granato.
I believe so. Yeah. Granato's brought such a positive culture into that locker room, and it makes everything better.
I want to gush so much about the Sabres. They look so good.
All right, we're going to talk about a team who's the reverse of the Sabres. Because I'm going in reverse alphabetical, I think.
Oh, Vancouver then.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, boy. The only winless team so far.
2-2. For an 4-2 season.
Man, they looked really bad, too. They keep blowing leads.
We were injecting a lot of hopium into our veins at the start of the season. Oh, yeah. Their defense was always going to be a problem.
And now it's injured further, right?
Yes, with Hughes out. So they were most likely a bubble team going in.
Sure, yeah. That was like their best case scenario, they were a bubble team.
So they've been playing on the road all season.
Oh, that's right. Buffalo was their first home game.
Been playing on the road all season. They lost to Washington to start out the season, like Bert said, then lost to Columbus in overtime. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Then lost to Minnesota in overtime. And those were all away. And for every single game leading up to the Buffalo game, they had a 2-goal lead and they lost it. They could not hold a lead.
I've already seen people calling for Bruce Boudreau to be fired.
Boudreau's not the problem.
No, they're just not they're not engaged.
Bruce Boudreau kind of, it looks like he can tell doesn't have much time left because he's being very honest in interviews.
Yeah, they haven't even won a game yet.
Right. He's being very honest in interviews, and normally when coaches are at the end of
unless you're John Tortorella.
Right.
Yeah. When you're asked, what does your team do good? And you're like, nothing.
I think he negged Philadelphia to be good.
It's working.
It's really working.
It's working so far. So.
But because he talking about the Buffalo third period, he's like, I'm just as pissed as you guys.
I saw that.
That effort was awful.
Yeah.
They're playing like they did under Sean Green.
Travis Green.
Thank you. Sean Green.
Sean Green,
the voice actor. Nope. Which Green am I talking about?
You're talking about the guy from Family Guy and
voice actor.
It's not Sean.
It's not?
I can see his face.
I see his face. He also was in Mass Effect, basically playing himself.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He's the guy behind pilot. Robot Chicken, too.
Yeah.
All right, keep talking. I have to look it up.
All right.
It's going to bother me. His last name is Green.
Yes, Travis Green. Seth
Green. That's what it is. Thank you. Good job.
So, they're playing like they did under Travis.
You're right. This is exactly how they played last year to begin the year, where they were just a dumpster fire to begin.
Just no effort.
Yeah.
No fortitude. At all. If things are not going their way, they just fold like a deck of cards.
Right.
Because again, they had 2-goal leads in 5 games leading up to the Buffalo disaster, where Buffalo shut them out from the start.
Yeah. Well, they did get 1 goal in that game, but
but they never had the lead.
Only kinda.
I mean, you can't blow a lead if you never have it.
That's true.
The big issue with them is defense and special teams. The goalies aren't winning them games like they did last year. Now Demko is not losing them games. They're and Jones. They're not as bad as Grubauer and Dreiger were for Seattle last year, where they cost them. But they're not winning them games. They're just playing average. Power play keeps giving up shorthanded goals.
That's never good.
And their penalty kill is 5 for 9, which also isn't great.
Not good at all.
Yeah. They're just Boudreaux might quit.
Yeah.
He just might quit.
What? Watch Boudreaux be there for most of the year. Them have an interim coach, and then them hire Barry Trotz next year.
Oh man.
Could you imagine that?
That'd be crazy. Trotz just follows Boudreaux wherever he
goes. I just want Vancouver to be good. I just want them to be good.
Yeah, but
just like I want Buffalo to be good.
I think this one they might have to blow it up because I think I think they're having problems with player leadership, especially with JT Miller and some of the comments that are coming out of him.
Yeah, because somebody threw a jersey on the ice.
There were 4 jerseys on the ice
and
because Buffalo was like,
I guess people can throw their stuff on the ice if they want.
Time and time again, we see a 30-year-old player have a career year, or a 30-plus-year-old player have a career year,
get an inflated contract,
get a massive contract, and then
whatever,
and they check out.
Yep.
And
I mean, honestly, more power to him. He got paid.
So. It's one of those things where
I wouldn't put everything on JT Miller either. But,
no, because again, their defense is a huge problem.
And he doesn't play defense.
No, but he is playing center.
That might be part of the problem, at least for him.
Also,
who did they lose that played center last year? Who's not playing center now? Because Pettersson is
playing great.
Pettersson and Horvat are both centers. Why are they having JT Miller play center?
I do not know. I think
weird.
Yeah. And Pettersson has 2 goals and 3 assists. He's playing great.
So he's playing great.
So,
there you go.
He's
putting in the effort.
He was actually only -2.
Really?
This week.
That's pretty impressive with a team that went 0-2-2.
Yeah.
So.
At
least they got a couple loser points. At least they got a couple loser points on there.
But
even -4, I'm like, that's not that bad with losing 4 games.
I don't think he put up that many points.
Never mind.
Yeah. I only think he put up like 2 points this week.
Yeah, Vancouver is just a mess now. I hope they turn it around. Do they play tonight?
Bo Horvat their captain is a UFA at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They lost Dickinson, who's playing for Chicago.
Well, they traded Dickinson.
Well, but he was a cap dump.
True.
Yeah. And they really could have used him because he's a great penalty killer.
Yeah, true.
But nah. So, Vancouver's bad.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Just inject that copium.
I want them to be good.
Yeah, no, I would love for them to be good.
I would love for them to be good, but they're not. They're not gonna.
All right, we're gonna move on to Seattle.
All right.
Because we've been talking about Vancouver, sadly enough. Seattle, we've talked about all of their games so far. They went 1-2-1 this week, losing to Carolina, overtime to St. Louis, which is a very good game for them to like. Mm-hmm. They kept it close. Beating Colorado and then losing to Chicago. I mentioned this before. I don't understand how they lost this. Chicago scored 2 goals in 13 seconds to take the lead, tie it and then take the lead late in the third.
It's just like that one Stanley Cup they won against Boston. Way back. Way back when.
I was thinking about the Philly one.
Mm-hmm. Because Boston in like Game 5 or Game 6 or whatever it was. Had the lead 2-1.
Yes, they did.
And then in like 15 seconds, Chicago scored 2 goals and won the Stanley Cup.
Dickinson and then I didn't write his name down. Shoot, because I don't cover that team. Doesn't matter. Dickinson and then someone else scored in those 13 seconds.
Who knows? Could have been
I think
anybody.
one was shorthanded. Because that's a problem with Seattle right now. They're letting in shorthanded goals. That's 2 this week.
Yeah, that's
and
no good.
They let in like 2 last week too.
That's no good. Yeah.
1 for 15 on the power play.
Bad.
9 for 13 on the penalty kill.
Worse.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm having so many bad penalty kills this week. It's so sloppy.
Yeah, right.
Jared McCann though, doing the work. 2 goals, 3 assists.
I miss him on the Penguins. He's very streaky, but
they're 2-3-2 so far, and like Bert said, they're not gonna
make it very far in the
They're just
season.
annoying.
They're just playing a lot better than they did last year. They're not a rollover team. All right. Moving on to San Jose.
The Sharks.
The Sharks. They're playing like Sharks. They're 2-6 so far.
Yeah, they're not good.
But they're 2-2 this week.
They won 2 this week.
Yeah. The Rangers were their first win of the season.
That's crazy. That's crazy. They beat the Rangers.
It was overtime. It's
still, though.
Yes. And then Philly. They were on.
Makes me feel better about the Pittsburgh losing to Montreal game.
They were on a Metro road trip. So the Islanders, the Rangers, the Devils, and Philly.
Well.
Yeah.
Usually they play the entirety of the division. I guess they were on like the East Coast of it. Yeah.
So they actually had good power play good penalty kill numbers comparative to the other things I've talked about. Erik Karlsson was looking like his old self.
Yeah.
Scored that overtime winner against the Rangers, and he had 2 goals and an assist this week.
Not looking quite the same level as old Ottawa days, but he's still a monster.
He's had a bunch of injuries.
He's still a problem.
3 points is your highest points getter for 4 games. It's not your best. It's not that good, but it
was a defenseman though.
Yeah, they're fine. Reimer did have a 30 save shutout
against Philly.
Philly. All right, moving on to LA. This is a team that is not playing right now up to what we thought they were going to because they were that playoff team last year.
Yeah, and they added in the offseason too.
Exactly. So you expect them to be better.
Theoretically, you would think it would be better.
They're 3-4 so far, but 2-2 this week.
Yeah, they look better this week.
We have talked about all their games already. That 5-4 overtime win against Detroit, the shootout win against Nashville, the curb stomp by Pittsburgh, and then
that was. LA was not even in that game.
Blowing a lead against Washington to finish the week. These were all road trips. So I believe they're going to be back home this week. 2 for 19 on the power play. That was my math.
Baby, that's horrible.
That was my math. It's like, really 19?
That's like just over 10%.
And they gave up a shorthand.
Oh, my God. That was against the Penguins, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oy vey.
Yes.
That's really bad power play numbers. Has Kevin Fiala even scored yet this year?
I don't think he has.
He had 40 goals last year. But
that
was playing with Kaprizov.
Penalty kill 13 for 15. So, all right.
Yeah, that's okay.
Victor Arvidsson in their loss against Washington contributed to all 3 of their goals. 1 goal and 2 assists. And then Philip Deneau had 2 goals against the Detroit in their win. But Trevor Moore is their top player with 4 assists this week.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So it looked a little bit better than last week. Certainly not in that Pittsburgh game.
No,
but
Velarde is looking real good. But, they need to hold on to their leads that they have, especially against Washington.
Not get blown up in some games, yeah.
Moving on to Edmonton, 1-2 this week for a 2-3 start to the season.
Edmonton's kind of sputtering out of the gate there.
Lost to Buffalo, where they got shut out by the goalie.
Stanley Cup champion Buffalo at the end of this year. I'm telling you right now.
Man, if only. I'd go to the parade.
I'd be pretty pumped if Buffalo won this. If my team can't win it. If Buffalo won it, I'd be pretty psyched, honestly. I'd be like, all right.
They came back from that loss to beat Carolina 6-4, and then they got shut out by St. Louis. These 5 games have all been at home, and you only have a 2-3 record.
Edmonton has played all 5 games.
They have not left home.
Their game tonight is at home too.
It's their first away game is this week. But
you're crazy,
first 6
and you're
games
2-3.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
Yeah, and they're playing Pittsburgh tonight too. So it's not like an easy game.
Campbell was actually their top player in the St. Louis game.
Surprising. Well, they did get shut out in that game, I
guess. He stopped 20 for 21 shots. That last goal was an empty net.
Oh, it was an empty netter.
So, Their power play 2 for 9, pretty good.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Their penalty kill 6 for 10.
Not good at all. That's really bad.
Yeah. Yes, they got shorthanded, but 6 for 10, not good. Their top points getters are Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid, because they both had 5. Nugent-Hopkins had 2 goals and 3 assists. McDavid had 1 goal and 4 assists. So,
at least it was somebody other than McDavid and Draisaitl.
McDraisaitl had 4 points. Other than that,
they just have nothing.
No, they don't.
It's crazy because you look at it, like, they have Evander Kane. They have Kyler Yamamoto. And you're like, okay, those guys should be able to score some. Kyler Yamamoto, I don't know what's up with him. The last, 3 years.
He might need to change the scenery.
Yeah, he just, can't. And he plays with either McDavid and Draisaitl, and, he just can't get on the scoreboard.
And they open up so much space for him to do so much
work.
He
just, can't bury it.
No.
I'm sure Edmonton will turn it around eventually, but, kind of a slow start for them.
Yeah.
I mean, 2-3 is not the worst for hockey.
Think about that losing streak that they went on last year and still...
True. Yeah, and they turned it right around.
Second in the division.
Yeah.
So, maybe the Pacific Division is as bad as people say it is.
Maybe. It could be. It could be.
Because right now, we're going to talk about Calgary, who is 4-1, and then after that division is kind of wide open.
Well, Calgary and Vegas.
Yes.
And then everybody else, pretty much.
Yeah, Calgary's 4-1, Vegas is 4-2, but after that, it's wide
just
open.
Whoever, yeah.
And we'll just see how that shapes up throughout the year.
Somebody has to take third eventually.
Yep. Calgary beat Vegas to start the week, lost to Buffalo, got stomped by Buffalo.
Yeah. Buffalo's looking strong.
And then they beat Carolina in overtime.
Pretty good win.
Yep.
Calgary's
very
looked
good.
Pretty good. Calgary's looking pretty good.
They've looked better than they did last year.
Yeah.
Which is real impressive.
Those Huberdeau and Weegar additions and Kadri.
It's really Sutter?
Sutter. Yeah.
Really turned this team, really keeps this team alive.
He's been great.
Power play 3 for 11, and then penalty kill 12 for 13. So that's one of the best.
Both of those are good.
One of the best special teams I've
that
looked
you've
at
talked about. Yeah,
that I've looked at this week. Oh my God, Anaheim. Sorry, looking ahead. Tyler Toffoli is actually their top player this week with 2 goals and 2 assists.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, Calgary's just looking real good. Don't have much to say past that. Team is not looking real good.
Anaheim. Our last team of the night.
0-3-1.
Oh, Anaheim.
1-4-1.
Come on. There's so many fun young players on Anaheim too that you're like, come on, you can win a game, and then they just don't.
Well, that's the thing about Anaheim. They'll show one or two good periods, and then at the reverse, it's just bad.
Yeah.
And their defense is not good. Losing to the Rangers, real quick, East Coast road trip. Losing to the Rangers, losing to the Devils, then to Boston in a shootout, and then getting curb stomped by Detroit to end the week.
Bad.
That Boston game, Gibson went 35 for 36.
He's looked okay. Some games.
Gibson is kind of very funny to me because I think he's actually one of the top 5 goalies.
He's a great goalie. He's just on a really bad team.
That's the thing. Yeah. He's one of the top 5 goalies in the league. But he's on an awful defense.
Terrible team.
And then he gets shelled, and then at some point during the season, he stops trying as hard.
Yeah. Well, I can't really blame him.
I can't either.
Yeah. I saw him cross-check somebody in one of the games this week.
I didn't. Oh, man.
Yeah, he crossed. I can't remember who it was, but he cross-checked someone in the back.
0 for 13 in the power play.
Terrible.
Oh, it's about
terrible.
11, 4, 17 on the penalty kill.
God. Oh, no.
They don't have a top player.
Oh, no, they shouldn't have a top player.
No, we're done. All right.
Anaheim.
moving on to injuries.
Yeah.
Dylan Holloway, day-to-day on Edmonton with an upper body.
All right, yeah.
LA Kings, Alex Iafallo on the IR with a lower body. That's bad. That's bad for the Kings.
LA,
yeah. For the San Jose Sharks, Nick Bonino is day-to-day with an upper body.
Totally forgot he was on the Sharks.
I didn't. Never forget. Yanni Gourde is on the it says IR for Seattle, but it's personal reasons. So he's missing some game for personal reasons, but
who knows what that could be.
Grubauer is day-to-day right now for a lower body.
Who's their goalie?
Martin Jones.
Oh, that's right.
It's Martin Jones.
Signed in Seattle. And Drieger's out for the year already.
Yes, Drieger isn't going to play for the year. In the Colorado game, Grubauer stopped a shorthanded breakaway, and he left the game.
He overextended himself.
Yep.
Something happened there.
Yeah, he got injured then.
That sucks.
Martin Jones came in and saved his one shot.
Hey.
So that's what you
want. That's
all
you got to do.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
All right. And then finally with Vancouver, Quinn Hughes is going to miss some weeks.
Yeah.
He's listed as day-to-day. It's undisclosed injury, but
that doesn't help at all.
They've said weeks. Brock Besser is day-to-day. And then I believe it's Tucker Pullman.
Yeah. It's
Tucker Pullman is now day-to-day with an undisclosed injury. It's not his head.
Well, that's good.
I think I heard it was his back.
That's less good.
It's less good.
Well, I mean, head is, I guess, back is better than head.
He's already missed some time this season due to a concussion.
Back injuries are no good.
He's already had concussion this season, so that's why they're saying undisclosed.
They're like, it's not his head.
Yes.
Like, don't everybody just assume he's dead.
Right.
Hey, vey.
But that's my week.
And that's our week.
I talked too much.
On Buzzpucks.
Fun.
Hey, we went on some tangents. That's fine.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about the reverse retros, but we'll do something about that. We talked a lot.
Some are cool.
Most are cool. Some are not. But we will see you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.
For
week
3 of the NHL season. Hopefully some teams can turn it around. But yeah, you can find us wherever podcasts are found. We do have a YouTube channel. You can
listen to our sweet voices there.
Give us a rate, review, subscribe, wherever that is applicable. But we'll see you next week at the same puck time.
Same puck place.
Bye-bye.
Bye.